So I've been hearing a lot about the Verifone EZR end of life. What is that exactly?
Earlier this year at the Verifone Client Forum in May of 2018, Verifone announced the end of life of their Enhanced Zone Router, or the EZR. The EZR is a box that the Verifone Help Desk uses to remotely access the Commander platform that sits at each one of your C-stores. So every time you have a problem, your employees will call 1-800-VERIFONE and say, I'm having credit card transaction problems. Immediately the Help Desk will access the EZR, which will and then access the Commander platform to remotely troubleshoot and fix whatever problems you're having. Well, with the end of life of the EZR, the box that's providing that remote access is going to now be replaced with a new program, the Verifone Certified Managed Network Service Provider Program. So essentially now, all that capability that was provided by a box is now going to be provided by a portfolio of managed network service providers.
So what does this mean for my business?
Well, to make the transition from an EZR world to a managed network service provider world, every single one of your C-stores with a Verifone Commander platform that has an EZR is going to need to be visited. And all the cables that are plugged into the pin pads and the point of sales into the EZR need to be unplugged and plugged into either a switch or into a managed firewall. And then the firewall that sits at your remote location needs to be reconfigured. So you have a physical element of unplugging and reconnecting cables, and then you have a software component to it as well in terms of reconfiguring the firewall to provide the same capabilities that you have today with the EZR.
So this sounds like it's going to create a pretty big impact on my business. What if I don't want to make the change and I just want to keep what I have?
Unfortunately, that's not really an option. The EZR, where the EZR provides access to the Commander platform at your stores today, when the EZR reaches end of life, the Verifone Help Desk is not going to be able to access the remote Commander platform anymore. This means that the next time your employees call 1-800-VERIFONE and ask for support, the Help Desk is only going to be able to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't access the store, I can't access the Commander platform. And the other problem is that this is the same path that Verifone uses to push out software releases, bug fixes. So any new features, any new functionality will be unavailable to your Commander platforms. You really have to make this transition from the EZR world to a managed network service provider in order to maintain the same portfolio of services that you have and support that you have from Verifone.
So it sounds like this is something I'm going to have to do. What steps do I need to start taking?
Well, the first piece of advice is to act now, to start thinking through the process. Because you imagine, there are over 36,000 Verifone Commander platforms in production today. So over 36,000 C-stores, gas stations that actually need to go through this transition in a relatively short amount of time. At the Verifone Client Forum, they were talking about early 2019 as the end-of-life date. So when you have that many C-store operators trying to do the same kind of transition, there's going to be an enormous burden and an enormous load on the technicians, available technicians, to go and visit each C-store, unplug all the cables, and then replug them back in, and then reconfigure the routers. And so it's to your benefit, to your advantage, to actually start thinking this through now, plan for the logistics of getting the technicians to come visit your sites, and actually do the work ahead of the crush so that come the end of life date, you're ready to go, that there's no interruption. You can minimize the interruption of service to your business.
Okay, so you keep mentioning these managed service providers that Verifone has certified. How do I go about selecting one, and what things should I keep in mind when looking at them?
That's a very important question, because when you think about the certification program, Verifone has essentially architected and dictated the specific connectivity requirements. They haven't actually defined the services, though. So, for example, there's a pretty meaningful spectrum of potential services. Some service providers are providing simple whitelists, blacklists to protect the networks. Others are providing a full portfolio of unified threat management services. So this is your antivirus, your IDS, intrusion detection, IPS, intrusion prevention, web content filtering, even full SIM services. So there's a meaningful difference in terms of the type of network protection, and then there's also a meaningful difference in the types of solutions. Some service providers are providing solutions that were essentially built in-house, whereas other providers are integrating best-of-breed solutions that have been vetted by third-party research. So you want to start thinking through, who's got the scope of services and who's got the credibility to protect your business.
That's great. So how can Hughes help me with this transition? Because I want to make it as easy as possible on my stores.
Yeah. As we start thinking through this, there's a couple of pieces of advice. The first one would be to start thinking through the big picture, right? Early 2019, we're looking at the end of life of the EZR. Keep in mind, there's also other big initiatives taking place. Outdoor EMV is probably the big one in October 2020. So, and then you also have the mobile initiatives that many of the mobile pay issues at the pump that many of the major oils are pushing to as well. You don't want to be caught in a situation where year after year you're sending technicians to reconfigure your stores. You want to start thinking about, if I have to send a technician out to the store, let's think about the big picture here. Let's think about the full portfolio of what I'm going to need for the next few years and design for that. Let's take care and prepare for the future. From a Hughes perspective, we'll provide a full our goal and our objective is to make technology easier. And we do this by providing a full portfolio of managed services. Everything from the installation of the technology, the field operations of it, the field maintenance, and the call center support too as well. And so there's a whole portfolio of managed services that we provide. In addition, there's also a whole portfolio of WAN optimization capabilities that we're bringing to bear. A lot of the challenges that we see currently today with the digital transformation of retail petroleum, the most common challenge is consistent application performance in a broadband world. So many of our customers are struggling with, hey, sometimes my applications work and sometimes they don't. It's really challenging to get a consistent enterprise experience for my customers as well as for my employees. And we've got technologies and solutions specifically designed to provide that in any kind of connectivity situation.
Great. Well, it sounds like Hughes is ready to help me with this transition. I want to thank you for all the information you've provided me today.
That's great.